Hey, it's Jeremy, and it's time to talk about The Last Showgirl. All right, The Last Showgirl is the new film by Gia Coppola of Francis Ford Coppola family fame. It's the story of the last 2 weeks of a show called Le Razzle Dazzle on the Las Vegas Strip, the last of the topless showgirl shows to close after Cirque du Soleil took over, and then the celebrity invasion of Las Vegas started by Celine Dion killed off anything that wasn't circus or music related. And yes, I know that celebrities did Las Vegas before Celine Dion, but back then it was kind of like what you did when your career was in the toilet. Celine really brought A-list stars to the strip. After her, we got Elton John, Britney Spears, Mariah Carey, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, U2, Cher, Barbara Streisand, Adele, Jennifer Lopez, Shania Twain, Garth Brooks, Bette Midler. You get what I'm saying. The film stars Pamela Anderson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Dave Bautista, Billy Lord, Kiernan Shipka, Brenda Song, and Jason Schwartzman. The story's kind of thin. The show is closing. The dancers don't know what they're going to do after. Pamela spent the last 30 years of her life in this show, and she realizes she missed out on her daughter's life. Jamie Lee is Pam's best friend, and she has gambling issues, and she doesn't know what she's doing. She used to be a dancer in this same show as well. And I get the concept of this like behind the scenes type of situation. And I'm guessing this has to do with the budget as well. Of doing like a movie about a thing and then not actually showing us that thing. In this case, the Las Vegas show, the show itself. Like, what does it look like? What's the dancing about? What's the staging? What are these sets people keep talking about? Until the very end of the movie where we have like some tight shots of them on stage, but you don't really get the gist of what the show's about. So at times it felt a bit frustrating to not see what all these people were talking about. The show that Pam cares about so much. Like, what does it look like? What are we talking about here? The film was shot on film, so it looks great, except like some handheld camera stuff is a bit like jarring and annoying. And mostly at the beginning, there's a lot of shots, like wide shots that are completely out of focus, which I don't know if that was intentional, but in a way, I think this could have been a short film. There's a lot, and I mean a lot, of scenes of Pamela alone in empty parking lots, looking confused and contemplative, which, believe me, I could watch hours of this, but one would have been enough. The others don't really advance the story. The script has a few great scenes in it, but I think it needed a little bit more. We could have fleshed out a lot of these supporting characters, given Pam a few more scenes of like interacting with people to make it like give it a little bit more juice. One thing about the show that we do see a lot are the costumes, which most of them are now museum pieces by Bob Mackie. They look great, although I'm not sure many of these dancers would wear a 40-pound headdress to go smoke a cigarette on the roof of the Tropicana, but a lot of people do this in this movie. The thing that makes this movie and the thing that everybody's talking about is the performances. It only exists because of the performances. People have been raving about Pamela since this premiered, I think, at TIFF. So I was very excited to see the movie for that reason. I've loved Pamela since I was a kid, not as an actress, but more like a pop culture figure. And I'm sad to report that it doesn't all come together perfectly for me in terms of her performance. She's very good in a few scenes towards the end of the movie, but in a bunch of scenes at the beginning of the movie, she's quite bad. So I don't know if they shot this movie in chronological order, because it feels like she's getting better as the movie's going along. But yeah, a bit disappointed. But there's one parking lot scene at the end of the movie with Pam and Brenda Song that kind of makes up for everything else. Like, I think that's the scene that got her the Golden Globe and the SAG nomination. It's really, really good. Jamie Lee Curtis is very good in this movie. I'm a little pissed that she's getting all these Best Supporting Actress nominations at BAFTA and at SAG, because I'm not over her winning an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But if that hadn't happened, I think I would be rooting for her. She plays a cocktail waitress that used to be a dancer in the show. And she has a dance number set to Total Eclipse of the Heart that is quite heartbreaking. Speaking of that, there's 2 needle drops in this movie, Total Eclipse being one, which this is probably one of the most overplayed songs of all time. But in this film, given the subject matter and the look of the film, for some reason, it is a very welcome surprise. And it worked, and it sparked the exact emotion that it was supposed to out of me. So that was a great scene. The other one is a Pat Benatar song, and it quite literally made me dust off my old greatest hits CD when I got home. I love Pat Benatar, and for some reason, I always forget about her. Like, if people are asking me like what my favorite singers are or whatever, I never think of her, but I love a lot of her songs. I think because she's been absent from pop culture for so long that you kind of never think of her. But thank you, Last Showgirl, for reminding me of my girl Pat. Miley Cyrus did an original song for this movie. I forget what it's called now, but it was snubbed from the long list at the Oscars for some reason. It plays over the last scene of the movie, and it's really cute and nice. Much better than anything in Emilia Perez. So go figure. Awards-wise, I think there's a good chance that Jamie Lee does get nominated for Best Supporting Actress for this movie at the Oscars, but I don't think Pam gets in. That would be quite wild to me if that happened. Lastly, seeing Las Vegas shot in this way in this movie made me kind of nostalgic for that city. I really love Las Vegas, and I haven't been there in like 6 years. So that was really nice. And I also really, really love the poster for this movie. It is so simple, so beautiful, the colors. It's chic, it's great. I love it. Ultimately, I gave this film 3 stars on Letterboxd. It works, it's fun, it's cute, but it could have been a bit more. But it's short, so there's that. See ya.
It was really a great experience.